Have you ever wondered why we celebrate Halloween? Let's delve into the origins of this spooky celebration that dates back over 2,000 years. Our journey begins in the land of the Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France. Their new year began on November 1st, marking the end of summer and the harvest, and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time often associated with human death. The Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. During Samhain, the presence of the otherworldly spirits was believed to aid the Druids, or Celtic priests, in making predictions about the future. To commemorate this event, huge sacred bonfires were lit, where people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. The Celts also wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. As the Roman Empire expanded its reach over the Celtic lands, over the course of 400 years, they began to incorporate their own festivals into the celebration of Samhain. Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead, and a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The apple, the symbol of Pomona, might be the origin of our modern tradition of bobbing for apples on Halloween. As centuries passed, these festivals intertwined, influenced by both the Celts and Romans, along with the spread of Christianity, began to morph into a distinct celebration. This blending of cultures and traditions over centuries laid the foundation for what we now recognize as Halloween. The next time you don a costume or light a jack-o'-lantern, remember that you're taking part in traditions that have evolved over millennia. As time marched on, so did the evolution of Halloween. The Middle Ages bore witness to a significant transformation of this ancient festival, as Christian influences began to intertwine with the old pagan traditions. One of the most notable Christian influences on Halloween was All Hallows' Eve, followed by All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. These days were dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, martyrs, and all the faithful departed. They brought a more solemn and religious tone to the previously pagan celebration. During this era, the tradition of souling became popular. People would go door to door offering prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes. Similarly, guising, where individuals disguised themselves and performed in exchange for food or drink, began to take shape. These practices, born in the Middle Ages, brought a communal and performative aspect to Halloween. These practices would later evolve into the modern tradition of trick-or-treating. Halloween's journey didn't stop in Europe, it found a new home across the Atlantic. In the early days of America, Halloween was not widely celebrated. The rigid Protestant beliefs of the colonial settlers didn't leave much room for the traditions of All Hallows' Eve. Instead, autumn was marked by celebrations of the harvest, with community gatherings, feasting, and prayer. The notion of Halloween, with its ghosts and supernatural elements, was largely absent from these early American traditions. However, the landscape of American culture took a dramatic turn in the mid-19th century with the arrival of a new wave of immigrants fleeing the Great Famine in Ireland. These Irish immigrants brought with them their customs, their folklore, and crucially, their Halloween traditions. In an effort to preserve their heritage in a new land, the Irish held on to their Halloween customs tightly. They would carve turnips and potatoes, transforming them into frightening lanterns to ward off evil spirits. They continued their tradition of donning costumes and going door to door asking for food or money, a practice that would later evolve into the trick-or-treating we know today. As these traditions began to spread, Halloween started to lose its association with dark spirits and supernatural entities. Instead, it began to take on a more community-centered aspect. The once solemn and eerie holiday was transforming into a celebration of community and camaraderie. Towns and cities across America began to organize community Halloween events. Parades, parties, and gatherings were held, often featuring games, food, and music. The focus shifted from warding off evil spirits to bringing people together in a festive atmosphere. By the time the 20th century rolled around, Halloween had become a holiday of fun and revelry. The ghostly overtures had been largely shed, replaced by an emphasis on community celebration and camaraderie. The once foreign and misunderstood holiday had found its place in American culture. By the 20th century, Halloween had shed its religious and ghostly overtones and had turned into a holiday centered around community and celebration. From ancient Celtic festivals to community celebrations, Halloween has come a long way. As we stepped into the 20th century, Halloween started to take on a more commercialized form. Department stores began selling costumes, and candy companies recognized the potential in a holiday centered around sweets. The popular traditions of costume parties, carving pumpkins, haunted houses, and trick-or-treating became Halloween staples. Costume parties allowed adults to join in the fun, transforming themselves into fantastical characters for the night. Carving pumpkins, a tradition stemming from the Irish myth of Stingy Jack, became a creative family activity. Haunted houses provided thrill-seekers with a dose of fear, while trick-or-treating offered children the simple joy of dressing up and collecting sweets. Today, Halloween stands as the second-largest commercial holiday in America, a testament to its enduring popularity. So, next time you don a costume or carve a pumpkin, remember the centuries of history and tradition that have shaped Halloween into the celebration we know today. Let's take a moment to revisit our journey through the history of Halloween. We began with its roots in the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, a time when people believed the boundary between our world and that of the spirits became thin, and it was both a time to honor the dead and to safeguard against harmful spirits. Our journey then moved to the Middle Ages, where Halloween took on Christian influences and became a time for prayer and remembrance of the departed. We then crossed the Atlantic to America, where Halloween underwent another transformation, incorporating elements from various cultures and evolving into a community-centered holiday. Finally, we looked at our modern Halloween celebrations, a blend of fun, fear, and community that captivates us year after year. Now you know why we celebrate Halloween, a rich tapestry of history, culture, and tradition that continues to evolve and captivate us. Happy Halloween!
Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel.